Hello, Patriots, segment 212. Today I'm titling this one Time for Pam Bondi to Hit the Road. I've been wanting her to go for the last 9 months, but, who the hell am I, right? Some old fart on here just venting on Rumble. Well, yesterday, Glenn Beck, to commemorate the 1 year anniversary, he went on the airwaves and basically agreed with me. Not per name, not per se, not, hey, Todd, I agree with. He just has the same sentiments. Now, whether you like Glenn or not, he has a great investigative team and he does his homework. From the videos that I've watched, he brings the receipts. Unlike some of those out there, like Alex Jones, the alarmist, or some of the other podcasters out there who basically anti-Semites now, he digs deep. He reveals a lot about what is going on in the country, and I think that he has close ties to President Trump as well. He says in his video, which is on YouTube, by the way, it's a 14-minute video. Doesn't go in. He just teases you with it. You've got to go into his website and probably listen to the whole thing. But he says that he submitted a FOIA request last July. Basically, the FOIA request had to deal with all communications in regards to the Epstein files. To this day, he has still not received anything back from the DOJ. Now, I will tell you, if you're not aware, I've had to answer some FOIA requests myself when I work for the government. The government, when they receive one, they have 20 days to submit a reply, and they only get a 10-day extension if they need an extension. So 30 days, they need to reply back or answer the FOIA. And he submitted his back in July. That tells you a lot right there about the transparency of the DOJ. I mean, she has nothing to show for. She's prosecuted some Tesla scratchers along the way. She's as far as I'm concerned, prosecuted and arrested low-hanging fruit. I've got that in one of my other videos. Comey and Latifah James, she went after them and couldn't even hold them, couldn't even get them arrested. And Bolton, what's happening with Bolton ever since his place got raided? We haven't, crickets. Not one thing about what has been going on with Bolton. Nothing. So some of the things that Glenn brings out in his video, and I brought him out myself, he highlights some extra things. But the number one thing that he brings up is the Epstein case. Something that I've been pushing for a long time. She had the evidence, as you know, I'll say it again, she went on to Fox News on a Wednesday. She said she's got the evidence on her desk. She was going to release it the next day, and then the next day came, and nothing. Silence. Then supposedly her excuse was that the New York FBI had it and wouldn't release it to her. The evidence and wouldn't release it to her. Well, damn it. Isn't she the supervisor for the FBI? Send somebody over there and go pick up the information that they're not releasing. Then, any evidence that she had, for some reason, she went and handed it over to Congress for them to contaminate it. She screwed this up so badly. As Glenn Beck his podcast about her, some may seem that it was rough and tough on her, but I think that he really toned it down. I think that he was really kind to her. And this thing with Epstein, don't tell me, no one, There's no one in this country that can tell me that the evidence is gone. There is evidence out there. It's being withheld. And the reason why it's being withheld is because there's so many people that could be taken down in high places, and they're protecting the people on the list. She is covering up the guilty for some reason. I don't know what the reason may be, but she is protecting them. So then he goes on to say, what about the Russiagate matters? There's plenty of players in that. No convictions. Not one about the Russiagate matters. Adam Schiff, the bull, and the J6 committee, the bullshit that they did with hiding evidence and not allowing evidence to be introduced during their hearings. Not one arrest there. Eric Swalwell, I call him Swall as well. He was conspiring, screwing a CCP spy. And he's still walking the streets. In fact, the dumb shit's running for governor of California. He hasn't been put on the hot seat. Mar-a-Lago raid. They chased out President Trump's lawyers while they invaded his home, confiscated a shitload of documents that he legally could have as president, and no one from the FBI has been held accountable. Speaking of which, what about Biden's classified documents that he had sitting in his garage, unsecure? He couldn't have them. He was a senator at that time. He illegally had those classified documents. Nothing about that. Haven't heard anything about that. Hunter Biden and all the shit that he's done. Haven't heard anything about that. He's still running around free. 2020 election fraud. That's a big one here because we got the midterms coming up. President Trump has told her, start digging into this. He has come out and on Truth Social and said, this needs to be done. This needs to be handled. He's been putting other hints out there about what needs to be done. Nothing been done about that. I know Harmie Dillon is out there. She's been taking actions against some states, trying to get voter rolls. And that's fine. That if we can get those cleaned up. But there's many more pieces to the puzzle about election integrity than just the voter rolls. Number one being we have to get rid of those damn machines. But in the light of it, 2020 election fraud, Maricopa County, California, we know what they do with their elections. No arrests whatsoever. January 6th, lies of the Capitol Police. They have video evidence that shows, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that the Capitol Police were lying. The pipe bomber, well, they found somebody. Haven't heard any more about that. Pelosi, not bringing in the National Guard, lying her ass off about that. She hasn't been put on the hot seat. Over 200 FBI agents there during J6. Nothing about that. Not one of them. I bet they still all have jobs. And then the wrongful convictions of over 1,500 people that were at the Capitol. No arrests there. DOJ findings. How many billions of dollars in fraud, waste, and abuse did DOJ uncover? And we have yet to see one individual arrested for that fraud. And whether it's a congressional individual or a company or wherever the fraud came from, USAID, nobody's been arrested. The Somali fraud, supposedly she's going after, there's subpoenas now for the mayor, Frey, and for the attorney general, and for the governor. With her reputation and the way things have been going, I have zero confidence in anything turning out about that. How about the DMVs that are issuing out CDLs to illegals? Newsom came out the other day and said, "I'm going to, screw this President Trump administration. I'm going to continue having my DMVs issue illegal CDLs to illegals. DMVs that are issuing out driver's licenses to illegals. Nobody's been arrested for that. No, I haven't heard any. Have you heard anything? I haven't heard anything. I mean, that's low class. That's low level. That's something that Bondi, she goes after the Tesla scratchers. You would think that she could at least go after the DMV people that are issuing out illegal driver's licenses. You'd think she'd be able to handle that, but we haven't heard anything about that. Benghazi issue. There's plenty of evidence on that front, and Clintons of course were involved in that. That was wow. First ambassador ever to get killed. Nothing, crickets. The Clintons in general, and they're facing contempt charges now from Congress, supposedly. Yeah, like that shit's gonna happen. GOP can stop feeding us that bullshit. They're not going to do anything about the Clintons. But let's set aside, as Glenn mentioned, let's set aside the Epstein bullshit for a bit. How about the Uranium One sales? How about, here you go, how about Hillary's email servers that were cleaned, and the cell phones that had a hammer taken to them, and all the evidence that she was hiding? Nothing. The evidence is out there. How about Haiti and the Clinton Foundation? Yeah, they looked into it. Nothing's been done. The Clintons should have been put in jail 35 freaking years ago. They alone have a semi-trailer load full of evidence against them, and nobody touches them. Nobody. How about COVID? How about all the fraud for the COVID Relief Act? How about all the unjust arrests and firings? Nothing done there. And Fauci's still running around. Rand Paul has been trying to take him down for 4 years, and still nothing. And we know, where's the evidence for that? There's plenty of evidence out there about him lying to Congress and everything he did with the NIH. Still no arrests. He's still walking around collecting his huge retirement from the government. Let's see. How about Biden's auto pen scandal? We heard about that. That came out in the news. That was a big deal. All these pardons that he did via the auto pen. He had staffers. There were staffers that came out and admitted that they were using auto pen to do a lot of his signatures for probably everything that was signed with his name, because I'm sure he didn't know what the hell he was signing. Yeah, there was some photo ops of him and some video of him sitting there in the Oval Office signing some documents, but it might have been probably just a blank piece of paper that they were having him practice his signature on. But again, all these pardons, nothing has been done about that. George Soros, I wish the State Department would get off their ass. Rubio, come on. They need, the guy's 95 years old. He'll probably die before anything else happens to him from this government. Glenn Beck's got podcasts out about him and how his son is basically destroying his company, which is very interesting. how he's doing that. But the State Department could have had the DOJ either indict him, or the State Department could have him thrown out of the country. There's 6 or 7 countries that want his ass really bad for him screwing up their countries. Nothing. Nothing. And then finally, the big one, another big one, failure to drain the swamp at all. There are so many in the swamp that she could be taking down. And who does she go after? Comey and James. Low hanging fruit. And she couldn't even get that one right. Our stupid Congress they've been doing investigations for at least 5 years or more now, and nothing. They either have a shitload of evidence they aren't sharing, or it was all just a dog and pony show to begin with. Just something the public gets outraged, and they go to Congress and say, "What the hell are you doing? We're tired of your investigations. Nobody's getting arrested," and so they do more investigations. Is it just to shut the people up because they're complaining? I'm beginning to think so. Dozens of criminals, I call them criminals, testified in front of them. And when they left, the GOP started crying crocodile tears that they lied, and yet no arrests. How many times did we hear Rand Paul have bitch and complain and start crying his eyes out when Fauci went up there? I lost track of how many times he testified in front of Congress. And every time Fauci left, Rand Paul goes to the airwaves and, "Oh, yep, he lied again. That frickin' Fauci, and he pointed out the lies." But yet, they didn't get the Sergeant of Arms to detain him and hold him in contempt. Cry some more, Rand. Cry some more. So there's people that are going to watch this, and there's people that have told me before, be patient. Takes time to build these cases. You want to make sure that they're correct. You want to make sure that there's no loopholes, so that now she's had plenty of time. And as Glenn Beck put it, rightfully so, patience is getting to be complacency. And I can tell you, we have Houston, we have a huge problem with complacency in this country. Then some will tell me it's the judges that get appointed to the cases. True, that's true. Yet I can't believe, or won't believe, that there is some way out there to circumvent this from happening. I believe that they can indict, and the judge throws out the case, and the DOJ is like Comey and James. The judge goes in there, throws out the case, and they put their hands up in there. Well, yeah, it is what it is. But, at least we tried. We really tried. I believe there's some way to circumvent around these activist judges, and they're just not doing it. They're taking the easy way out. Judges across this country, being paid off by the DNC, they're being paid off by somebody. There's an article that came out this morning about immigration judges in Ohio being bribed to side with the illegals. Excuse me. This is happening all over the country. And again, why isn't Bondi going after them? Why hasn't Congress impeached or defunded the federal judges? Nobody is doing shit about what's going on out there. But at the same time, when a Democrat in this country wants to indict someone, oh yeah, sure, I'm sure they probably pick for some reason, they're able to cherry pick the judges that they want for their cases, and they can drop indictments in a matter of days. Excuse me. A whole year, and Comey and James and Tesla scratchers. And that's all she can hang her hat on. Now, people say, well, Trump must like her. He isn't getting rid of her. He's still letting her hang around. I don't know that that's exactly true. I think he's been on True Social and has been he's been putting out some signals to her without coming out and saying, "Look, idiot, you're screwing things up. I've got a plan here to take down the deep state, and you're not helping me." Other than, I'm sure. Excuse me, I'm sure he's not going to come out and say that, but I'll bet he's probably thinking it. I don't know. When I get the chance to talk to him again, I'll ask him that question. But maybe he thinks with this lame ass Congress we have, Thune, the idiot from hell that's not doing anything, takes a year to get somebody confirmed in the Senate. Maybe he thinks that since he's got a lame ass GOP, that if he fires Bondi and recruits somebody else, they may never get confirmed, or if so, it'll probably take another year. But that's okay, In the meantime, Todd Blanche, the deputy, can take over. He can't do any worse. Than she's already doing, and we can get the ball rolling. At least maybe he'll do more than she's doing. She's just in the way. People are thinking that Bongino is probably going. I've mentioned this before. That Bongino on his podcast, which I will never watch another podcast of his. That he's going to come out and tell the public why he had issues with Pam Bondi and why him and Patel weren't able to do anything. No, ain't going to happen. He's not going to say anything because the DOJ will probably come after him. No, he's going to keep quiet. We need somebody in there that will kick ass and take names later. We need someone that can't be bought, threatened, or compromised somehow. And Pam, bless her heart, is not that person. She may have done some good for Florida, but she is over her head. And Glenn and I both agree it's time for her to go. The time is running short. Time is running out. We need somebody with all of those examples that I just cited. There are thousands of people that need to be arrested, and with her in there, I just don't see it happening. It's time for her to go. Get somebody in there, start cleaning house, and if they start cleaning house, the rest of the cockroaches in D.C. and across the country are going to start scrambling. I would almost bet that they're going to be getting their plane tickets and they're going to be leaving the country for Switzerland or someplace else. Anyway, she's got to go. Finally, if you see somebody doing this, I like to mention this in every video. If you see anybody doing this, this is the international sign of distress. They are telling you that they are in deep trouble, that they've got some issues. If you can help them safely, do so. All right, Patriots, have a good one.